Hello and welcome to my vBrownBag session, Automate Your Ops using vRealize Operations REST APIs. My name is Thomas Kopton and I'm Lead Solution Engineer at VMware. And in the next 25 minutes, I will show you how easy it is to enable automation in vROps and make this self-driving operation story become reality. So let's start. vRealize Operations is generally a unified management operations platform driven by AI and machine learning. And probably, as you know, the four key areas of vROps are performance optimization, capacity and cost management, configuration and compliance, and of course, app-aware intelligent remediation, so troubleshooting and remediating issues. And in this session, I will focus on the automated part of this app-aware intelligent remediation. So how can you enable vROps to do your remediation steps automatically? And in general, when we're talking about vRealize operations in context of self-driving ops or self-healing data center, we're talking about detecting issues in your environment. So we're monitoring everything in your environment, starting with the hardware, so your compute hardware, storage, networks, and we're going up to the application and services provided to your customers. And anytime anything is going wrong in your environment, vRealize Operations is notifying the teams responsible for this part of the environment. And notifying teams is probably, again, you know all those things. We can send emails, we can open ServiceNow tickets, or send SNMP traps. Now, as soon as you receive such a notification, an alert, you have basically three options what you can do. You can ignore everything and just do nothing, or you go to vROps, open up your troubleshooting workbench, get some more insights into your environment, and start remediating the issues manually. And there is, of course, the third option. If you put some more effort, some more components into this picture, you can enable vROps to do all those remediation steps automatically for you. And what we would like to achieve here is a kind of a closed control loop between vROps and the automation solution. In my case, the automation solution is obviously the vRealize orchestrator. But as I will show you in a few minutes, you are not limited to the VRO itself. So with the new approach we have in vROps, you have the freedom of choice of your automation tool you're using in your environment. To make this picture complete, let's take a step back to the old days and to the automated actions in vROps. So we have this concept of automated actions since years. So and the concept is pretty easy. We have the vRealize operations, and we have, for example, just a vCenter or the vRealize orchestrator. And within vROps, you have the alert definitions. The alert definition may contain a recommendation. This recommendation itself may contain an action, and this action can be enabled in a policy to be automatically triggered. And this action is either a vCenter action, or if you install the orchestrator management pack, you can basically start any workflow you have in your VRO instance. So at the end, alert definition, so the alert is being triggered, the recommendation is being processed, the action is being executed, and a workflow runs and do something for you in an automated way. And this is a great concept with few limitations. And the first limitation is the recommendation. So the recommendation itself is being triggered on alert open event. So there is no recommendation for alert close or alert update, which in many use cases is fully sufficient, but maybe not in your use case. The second limitation is the vCenter or vRO only way to do automation. So if you install the orchestrator management pack, of course, you need to use the orchestrator instance. Either it's the standalone or maybe the VRA embedded one, but it is the orchestrator. If you have any other automation tool, that's not the right way to do this. And the last limitation is, even if you're using the orchestrator workflow, you are limited to exactly 2 inputs. And the input is the alert ID you get from vROps and the reference to the object where the alert has been triggered on. And again, in many cases, that's fully okay, fully sufficient. You can do a lot of things with this, but sometimes you need more than those 2 inputs. Of course, you can go back to vROps and retrieve more information, metrics, properties, etc. But this requires some more effort and, of course, some more programming language experience. Now, if you would like to know more about this automated actions concept, feel free, go to my blog, check the post self-healing with vROps operations and vROps orchestrator, and you will get some more insights how to configure this. Now, since the version vROps operations 8.4, we have the Webhook Outbound plugin, which is a new way to do automation in vROps using REST APIs. So with this approach, using this Webhook Outbound plugin, you are basically capable of using any automation tool or any other tool providing a REST API. So what you need to start with your own self-healing using this approach is vROps operations 8.4 or newer, some automation tool. Of course, vROps orchestrator is a perfect tool to do this, but again, you're not limited to vRO. Anything providing a REST API can be utilized here. You need a use case, so you need to know what to remediate in an automated way. You need to know how to do this, some brilliant idea, and maybe some coding experience when you, for example, using the orchestrator or any other tool requiring coding. The best way to show you how it works is in a demo. So let me quickly switch to my demo environment, and I will show you in vROps and the orchestrator how all those parts work together. First of all, we need an orchestrator or another automation tool. Again, in my case, VMware orchestrator. I have a workflow which is going to be triggered anytime an alert on a virtual machine is being canceled. So this workflow is expecting more than 2 inputs. And that's the first difference to the old approach using automated actions. We are not limited to 2 inputs. We can basically have as many inputs as we want. In this case, I have my 1, 2, 3, 7 inputs. And with those inputs, with those information, I can do even more sophisticated decisions within the workflow. Now, to call this workflow, to connect to the orchestrator, the first thing we need to do in vROps is to create an Outbound plugin instance. And that's pretty easy. You just click on Add, select a new plugin, give it a name, specify the URL, credentials, and you are done. So, of course, I have something already prepared for you. It's my embedded vRO. You can see that's the URL of my vRO. And now one important information. Once you put in your credentials and you click Save, vROps is trying to test this connection. And in that case, it will fail because, and that's a limitation in this version, we're trying to do a post and we're expecting a 200 answer from the endpoint. In that case, if you just take a quick look on the URL, you will see that this is, if you know the orchestrator, you will see that this is not a real REST method. That's kind of a prefix we will use later on. But again, we just type in our credentials, save this one, ignore the error message, and we are done at this point. So we have 2 things already done. We have the orchestrator with a workflow, And we told vROps how to connect to my orchestrator using the REST APIs. Now we need to tell vROps what should be sent over to the orchestrator as payload, as the JSON body in the REST method. For this, we use the payload templates. And again, I have already prepared something. That's the payload I'm going to use with the execute orchestrator workflow anytime a alert has been canceled. And this payload template is, we have three parts we need to configure. The first one is just to specify the Outbound method, the plugin, which is in that case, obviously the Webhook notification plugin. The second part is very important. This is where you can specify additional metrics, properties, related objects you can later on use in the JSON body to have them as inputs for the workflow. So in my case, I have specified 7 different metrics I would like to use as inputs and 2 related objects to send with the alert with the JSON body to the orchestrator. And the last thing is the details, where you then here you specify the actual method, which will be then appended to the URL in the plugin instance, the content type, post. So the usual stuff you were specifying when working with REST APIs. And of course, the JSON body. As you can see here, the JSON body is exactly what orchestrator is expecting. So we are configuring or specifying the inputs and the values for those inputs. And this is where the object content comes into play. So we have the capital letters are always included, so always available to be used as variables for the inputs, like, for example, the alert ID, the resource name. And in the beginning of the list, I have my 7 metrics and my related objects I specified in this tab. So I can just, using copy and paste, put them as values for my inputs. So now we have the last part. So we have, again, orchestrator, we have the workflow, we have the plugin with a specified instance, how to connect to the orchestrator, and we have the payload template. And now we need to put everything together into the notification. And I suppose many of you know what notification is. So you use notification to send email alerts, SNMP traps. That's exactly the same. So the only thing which is different is the criteria is still the same. So you can very granularly specify when to call which notification. In that case, I would like to use that notification or to execute this notification when a virtual machine is affected and the alert is being canceled. Now we specify the method. In this case, it is the notification plugin. It could be also the email or the SNMP trap, but we would like to use a REST API. So we have the notification plugin, the instance, which is pointing to my orchestrator, and the payload we just specified. And you can review the payload here again. So my metrics, my properties, my JSON body, and that's all. This notification is now enabled. And if I go to my alerts and just open up, let me quickly open a virtual machine alert. And we cancel this alert here. Then we jump into the orchestrator and to the workflow runs. We see that we, in this second, executed a workflow. And this workflow has all those 7 inputs I have specified. So the object name, alert ID, the parent host, CPU ready time, CPU demand, call stop in milliseconds. It's 0, but it is the value vROps has collected at this point in time. So, and if you need more inputs to do some more sophisticated automation, you just add this input to your workflow, add this to the JSON body, use a metric available in vROps and you are done. You don't have to go back to vROps, retrieve more information. You can put anything or everything you need to do your automation work. So, and as I said, you are not limited to the orchestrator. If we jump quickly back to my presentation and review the concept again, what we need is operations 8.4 or newer. We need an automation tool, in that case, the realize orchestrator, still the alert definition, but now we use the notification. And the notification is using outbound instance and the payload to run some automated actions, methods, workflows, whatever you have. And that means that you are very flexible because the criteria in notifications are very flexible. And you can use the automation of your choice. So wait a second, I will show you what I mean. And you are flexible in terms of data provided to your automation tool. You can add metrics, properties, related objects, which makes the process of remediation much easier than before. Now, let me quickly again jump to my demo environment, and you see this RabbitMQ in here already. So what I did for this demo, I have another Outbound plugin here, which is the RabbitMQ plugin instance. It's the same plugin. It's still the outbound notification plugin, Webhook notification plugin, but this time it is connecting to my RabbitMQ instance. And I have another payload created to use with RabbitMQ. And if we just check this payload, it's basically the same. We can select object content. So there is no content in this one, but we could add whatever metrics or properties we need. Like, for example, if this is for a virtual machine, we just select virtual machine and we add metrics. For example, CPU demand in megahertz. If we update this one and we go back to this template, now it's here, and now it's also available in the parameters list, and we can just put it into the JSON body, and the same structure, that's the URL, the endpoint URL appended to the Outbound plugin instance to publish something into a queue, content type, method, and so forth. We update this one. Now, if I go to the notification, I take the same alert cancel notification, and I just change the plugin instance to the RabbitMQ, and I change the payload to my RabbitMQ payload. We can just double check if this is the right one. Yes, it is. And update this thing. It's still enabled. And now if we go to the alert list I have, and I hope I still have one virtual machine here. Yeah, it is. And we cancel this one. We see that in this case, okay, we are here. Just took a few seconds. We see that this time, my alert with all those information, for example, this CPU contention is as the symptom, and my CPU demand is now in a queue in my RabbitMQ. So this information can be just sent to anything which is REST API capable. In this case, RabbitMQ. So I could have another system which is consuming those information out of the queue and do some automation workflow for you. Good. If you would like to read more about, for example, how to connect to the RabbitMQ, again, go to my blog, read this post, and you will learn how to connect view-less operations to RabbitMQ. So that's all I have for you. Thank you very much for your attention, and goodbye.